name is Stanley St. Rose, and today we're going to be talking about On Dumpster Diving, written by Lars Eighner. Now, before I go into the summary and analysis of this work, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and/or comment so that the channel can continue to grow. Now, in this essay by Lars Eichner, we basically talk about dumpster diving. Throughout the essay, Eichner tells us how he dumpster dived and how he was homeless for a period of 3 years and how he just basically walked the streets how he learned how to dumpster dive. One of the stories that he tells us within this essay is that there was this pizza restaurant that he used to frequent late at night when they would throw out their pizza. But after a while, they kind of felt like somebody was stealing the pizzas from the dumpster, or maybe like somebody was calling the pizza restaurant, placing orders, and then not, buying the pizza and then wait for them to throw it out and then go eat it in the trash. So there's a lot that's within this essay. A lot happens within this essay, and it's very interesting because there's so much that goes into picking trash and figuring out what's good in trash. Ainer tells us that for on his personal level, on the personal level, that he likes to go towards dumpsters rather than personal trash cans because when you go through personal trash cans, in the essay he tells us that's actually very personal because a lot of times when people throw their trash out, it's things that they don't want people to see. Sometimes it's just things you just want to get rid of, and you want no other human being to ever see it. And when a homeless person go through your trash, they can find personal information, they can find bank information, or all types of information about you, about your medicine, about things that you throw away that they can use to probably do something bad towards you. Now, Ader doesn't go into this. He just says that there is a lot of information that you can find about certain types of people in the trash. And it's very significant because you don't think when you throw things away that there's a lot of information about yourself that you're throwing away. So if you're the type of person that, you don't shred your letters, or, you don't rip up your letters before you throw them out, if you throw a perfectly good letter in the trash and somebody picks it up, they can find out a lot of information. What kind of, allergies you have, what type of illnesses you might have, what types of conditions you might have, and they can use that to their advantage. And if they find bank information, that's something that they can use to hurt you even more. So your trash says a lot about you. That's one of the things that you learn while you're reading this essay. Now, Ainer, this is not a typical short story that we get. You don't get like a narrative throughout this essay. It's not like, a character that we're looking into the life of a character and what happens to this character. We're actually getting tips on how to dumpster dive, on how you can be successful, on how you can avoid certain bad situations when it comes to being homeless and dumpster dive. Ainer tells us right away that he wasn't totally homeless at the end of the essay, that he had an apartment, and pretty much all that he earned went into paying for the apartment. So everything else that he needed to survive, he had to scavenge. And he tells us there's different titles that exist within the essay. He thinks of himself as a scavenger. He doesn't, primarily think of himself as a dumpster diver. He thinks of himself as a scavenger. The reason why he says this is because he's very meticulous about what he does. When he goes through a dumpster, there's a lot of things you need to know. First of all, he tells us how to pick the good food from the bad food. Don't take rotten fruit. For most of the time, you can by using your senses, you can figure out what food is good and what food is bad. The thing is, there's no, you don't have 100% guaranteed that food thrown away is good, but most of the time it is good, because in the United States, people throw food away just because they don't want to eat it. And sometimes it's because the food spent too much time in their cupboard and they're scared because maybe the expiration date passed a day or two, and they feel like they might, I don't know, explode if they eat it. So they throw it in the trash. And Inner exploits this, and he's like, there's good food here. He tells us that the most beneficial place to dumpster dive is at a college, because college students throw things away at the end of semesters or during midterms or during finals when they're going home. They don't want to bring food home, or they don't feel like bringing it home, so they'll throw away a half a jar of peanut butter. They'll throw away things that they feel like they don't want, or food that their parents sent them that they never ate. So all of that gets thrown in the trash. He tells us that he avoids ethnic foods, because Einar tells us that if you can't tell what food looks like when it's good, if it's something that's ethnic, that's belongs to a specific culture, if you never had it before, you don't know what it looks like when it's good. You don't know what it looks like when it's bad. You can get into some sticky situations. This is not all good news. I mean, he finds a lot of great things by dumpster diving. He finds clothes, bedding, toiletries, money, change, whatever. In a city, that has a lot of dumpsters, and especially apartment complexes where there's massive dumpsters, and there's um, multiple families throwing things out here and there, you're going to find a lot of valuable stuff, clothes that people don't want, books that people don't want. Sometimes he gets some valuable information. In the essay, he tells us that one time he found a little bag with like um, just contraceptives and lubricant and things like that, and a picture of a ripped picture that kind of like told him a story about a girl that didn't want anything to do with her boyfriend anymore. So that kind of like that the things that he found in the paper bag told him a little bit about her life. And that's, he puts this kind of like mini story together through the things that he found in the trash. So you can find stories in the trash. He even says throughout the essay that maybe one day he will like make a collection of maybe short stories or a memoir or some type of anthology about, notebook entries or diary entries, because he finds these wonderful stories about people, college students writing in their journals or writing stories. He even critiques the modern education method, that he says that the papers that get A's in colleges today are not like the ones in the past, because maybe the quality has gone down a lot. So he judges college students within his dumpster diving. So there's a lot that goes on throughout the essay, but most of all, you learn how to pick good food from bad food, not to trust things that certain cans, or how to test your food before you eat it, and how other homeless people even relied upon him to tell them what's good to eat and what's not good to eat. And the thing is, he tells us that it's not 100%. Sometimes he gets things wrong, and sometimes people tamper with food, or put things in drinks or food that you didn't know about. Like, he got drunk because he picked up this drink that was mixed with alcohol, and he was drunk during the day, so that wasn't fun for him. So you have to be very cautious, very meticulous about dumpster diving. You have to watch out for fire ants in dumpsters, because they're also finding food and things within dumpsters too. He says that you don't really find that many vermins, that many roaches and things like that. I mean, they're there, but they're not like something that you would expect from a horror movie. He says you have to watch out for birds and creatures like that, because they're also dumpster diving, and they're also scavenging for food and for things that they need. So there's a lot of things that you have to watch out for. You have to keep your eyes open. And also, there's a lot of competition. In America, or in, I guess, anywhere where there's dumpsters, there's competition for everything. He says that sometimes it gets tough because you have to um, deal with other dumpster divers, and first come first serves basically, and you don't want to get into confrontation with other dumpster divers. He even tells us about can divers. So there's certain people that don't go into dumpsters. They search people's cans for food or for things that they need. He tells us mostly drug addicts or people that really need spare change or things like that. Those are the people that go into can diving, or searching people's cans. And trash cans are kind of dangerous, he says, because most of all, they're pretty much in front of people's properties. And technically speaking, a person's the trash can is still their property. And technically, you kind of have to be on their property to search their garbage. And people are not going to be happy with you searching their garbage. They're not, if somebody wakes up one morning and finds you in front of their house searching their garbage, they're probably not going to be okay with that, because again, their personal information can be stolen. They can get information off of medicine bottles or letters or different things that they throw out, and they don't want people learning sensitive information about them. So there's a lot that goes into dumpster diving. He says that, again, best place to dumpster dive is in a university, in a college, where college students just throw things away just because. In apartment complexes where there's a bunch of families, and they throw a lot of things out, and there's a higher percentage of you finding something valuable in a dumpster rather than a trash can, because there's just more stuff being thrown out. So the other thing that he says, I mean, it's not the main idea. The essay, it's really interesting because it really focuses on the specifics. It really focuses on the small things, on how, like, if you're a person that, I don't know, is going homeless and you're thinking about going dumpster diving to find food here and there, the information that's depicted within this essay, it's like things that you could use. Like, he says that at the back of a pizza shop where they throw out the pizzas at night, and a lot of times, they put the pizzas in boxes, and they're not like contaminated to the point where you would, explode. And I use explode because it's just funny to me at this point. um so you can eat that the pizza in the box. It's cold. It's maybe sometimes it gets stale, but it's still edible. So he says he ate a lot of pizza, a lot of donuts, a lot of things like that, and you just have to be very observant. But at the same time, people are always watching you, so you have to be careful. And there's also this like subculture that he talks about individuals that dumpster dive, and they become obsessed with stuff. They become pretty much Gollum from Lord of the Rings, basically, and they have, you know, trash becomes their ring, trash becomes their treasure, and even if something doesn't have value, they'll just keep hoarding it and hoarding it because, again, dumpster diving is free and you don't have to pay for it. So if you find something that you think is valuable, you can keep it to yourself. He doesn't really talk about the authorities or if cops have problems with this, but if you're rummaging through the trash, you're rummaging in a dumpster at midnight. I mean, it's you're not gonna get that much people bothering you. So that's pretty much the essay. The other thing that's significant that he probably talks about is kind of tells us that you know, dumpster diving taught him how to um, keep the things that he absolutely needed, and things that he needs for his survival. And that's the same thing that goes for it because throughout the 3 years that he was homeless and dumpster diving, he was with his dog Elizabeth, and Elizabeth was a good companion for Einer, and they scavenged together, they survived together, and he tried to provide the best care that he could for Elizabeth, and they survived. Eventually, he got off the streets, but that's pretty much what the essay is about. In terms of analysis and the deeper meaning of this essay, I think it says a lot about America and how people can be very wasteful. Because he's saying that he's finding so much food in the dumpster that he gets fat off of the food. Now there are some bad sides to dumpster diving because he tells us that he gets dysentery, and if you know what dysentery is, it's not something that's pleasant. It's pretty much bloody diarrhea. So um, you can die off of dumpster diving because there's certain foods that are rotten to the point where if you eat it, you know, there's going to be a lot of disgusting things in it, and sometimes people just people are not just throwing food out. That's getting mixed in with all types of hygiene products, and if all types of hygiene products, maybe some, because when people throw their trash out, you're gonna find some toilet paper in there. You're gonna find some feminine hygiene products. It's gonna all be mixed, and all types of things. He tells us he finds kitty litter. I mean, anything that you could imagine people throwing out, all of that's being you know in a trash bag. That's all getting thrown into the dumpster, and rummaging through the trash for food. It's not pleasant because that slice of pizza is going to be right next to some toilet paper, and it's not. it's not pleasant. He tells us it's not pleasant because you're going to smell that, especially when you're rummaging through the trash. You're looking for food, you're looking for stuff, clothes, whatever. And he gets all his clothes from the trash. So he doesn't specify if he gets his undergarments or his underwear from the trash, but he tells us he doesn't go into that. But he just tells us the only thing he doesn't get from the trash is his jeans. So we don't know if he gets his underwear there too. So that's something we can just leave right there. So it says a lot about American culture from the point of view that we do Americans do throw a lot of things away, and some of the things that they throw away they don't have to. It's just they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to eat it, so it gets thrown away. And also the things that Americans keep. Sometimes you keep a lot of things that you don't really need, and you're always chasing after the next thing, after the next thing, after the next thing, and just keep pushing things into your apartment, into your house, and more property and more property and more property. And for me, the most interesting things that Einar says at the end of the essay is that and anything that he grabs in the trash or anything that he has, he always, at some point he thinks that he's going to throw it away. And if that's the case, he doesn't even bother grabbing it or taking it from the trash. Because if we really think about it, all the things that you have, all the possessions that you have in the world, it's either it leaves you or you leave it, because at some point you're going to pass away and all of your belongings are going to be thrown in the trash, or somebody else is going to take them, or it gets broken and thrown in the trash anyway. So most of the stuff that you own ends up in the trash at some point, because even the people that do take your stuff when you pass away, they'll end up throwing that away too. So, you know, everything eventually will end up in the trash. So there you go. I mean, that's a dark ending to end this on, but that is my summary analysis of Undumpster Diving by Lars Eighner. Please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and or comment, and I'll see you guys in my next video.